I am Janice Coyle, founder of the New Earth Visioning Project. Our mission here is to promote people and ideas that help to bring about a new earth and help to bring about a new us. In this endeavor, we hold a vision of a world where, as we say, love is Lord, and a vision of ourselves as New Earth people. We hold in our hearts the visions of our guests as well. And speaking of our guest today is Darren Starwin. Welcome back to us, Darren. Thank you.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm looking forward to this.
Well, we are really grateful you're here. So let's begin with a meditation. If everybody could mute themselves. Let's take a few slow, deep breaths. And as we breathe very slowly in and out, we relax. Relax. Relax the whole body. And tune into the breath, the precious breath, flowing in and out. Feel it with your whole body. Flowing in, flowing out. Now, follow these words as if they are your own. I close my eyes, and within myself, silently, sacredly, and gently, I say, I am. I am. I am. That I am is my eternal being, my own divine self, my unity with all creation, and even beyond creation. I am. This me, this I am, is greater and beyond any problem in the world. I am love itself. I am wisdom itself. I am power beyond this mind to imagine. This I am is me and has been since before time and will be when time is no more. This I am, this me is here in all power, right now awaiting recognition by my human instrument. And so I go now into the silence and open to I am by silently, sacredly, and gently repeating, I am. I am. I am. I am Avatar. We come out of silence now in gratitude for this day, the amazing experiences in consciousness we behold every day. Thank you for being here. And let me introduce our guest for those who will be watching our video. Dr. Darren Starwin has been aware of the quantum field of consciousness since childhood, traveling to India to study with a spiritual master during his teenage years. Since then, Darren had a long career as an acupuncturist, medical device developer, writer, healer, and teacher, integrating therapeutic systems from around the world. He has written 4 groundbreaking books, led hundreds of workshops and seminars, and invented several vibrational devices used worldwide. Darren's workshops and retreats weave together laughter and playfulness with profound personal healing and transformation. Thousands of people have been directly or indirectly touched by Darren's offerings, and he has inspired many colleagues to expand the scope of their work to include energy medicine and consciousness-based healing systems. His work integrates vibrational energy medicine with multidimensional quantum healing to help people rapidly release old trauma, pain, and limitations to their self-expression. Darren also serves as a reverend through the Lightworker Ministry, empowering healers and lightworkers to live as avatars and participate in the currently unfolding planetary ascension of consciousness. He is a graduate of the Tri-State Institute of Traditional Chinese Acupuncture and received a doctorate in Chinese medicine in 1995 through the National Academy of Advanced Asian Medicine. He has been ordained as a knight through the Sacred Medical Order of the Knights of Hope, a branch of the Historical Knights Hospitaller from Europe. Welcome again, Darren. It's such an honor to have you. And today we're going to be talking about your new book, Awakening the Avatar Within. And it's a very nice title and a good book. Let's start talking about this incredible book.
Yeah.
And seriously, as one of your people, Richard Gordon said, he says, Awakening the Avatar Within is both inspiration and practical. It is a treasure map of how to heal, grow, and embody the divine self. And I've read this book. I've reread my highlights. I've started doing some of the exercises. And I've read hundreds and hundreds of spiritual books. And this is on this subject, this is by far the best one I've ever read.
Oh, thank you.
And I've looked at some of your other things you've been doing in your life and so forth, and you've done a lot of articles and invented instruments and done so many things and taught classes and helping other healers. But this book seems to be for all of us, and not just that. So, what motivated you? What inspired you to offer such a treasure to all of us?
Well, thank you for that amazing introduction, Janice. It's very heartfelt, and I appreciate that. Well, to be really honest, what motivated me was my own suffering and looking for a solution to it. Growing up as an alienated person in this absurd world, trying to make sense of what the heck I was doing, why I was here, and why things didn't make sense at a young age. And I'm not going to go into a whole long story about my childhood and all that, but just say that I actually had nice parents. So I can't blame my parents for messing me up, except, they're wounded people like everyone else, but they're relatively nice to me. So somehow I grew up with such a weight that didn't seem to come from any place that I could explain. But at the same time, I also was aware of something that I had no name for, but just felt very comforting, that was all around me. I just knew, I had no words. I didn't know words like multidimensional or quantum or even spiritual. I didn't know any of that back then. I just liked James Bond movies and Popeye the Sailor Man and, a lot of things young guys like, but rock and roll music. But what I was aware of was that I knew there was something beyond my suffering and strugglings and ups and downs. I could sense that. And so there was just this burning desire to solve my own challenges. And then, you know how it is with honeybees, all they want to do is drink the nectar and the flowers, but somehow in the course of doing that, they end up doing this amazing service of pollinating and keeping all our fruits and vegetables going and flowers and all that. So somehow I inadvertently, through my own search, started helping other people along the way. That's the way it is for a lot of us. And where this led me is so different than what I would have ever expected. And the reason that book is there and a lot of other things is because we all need a roadmap. Can be so bewildering living in this world where it seems like a strange combination of heaven on earth when you're having a good day and you're in your heart and you're looking around at this gorgeous nature and planet, and it can seem like an extreme hell in the darkest depths of Kali Yuga. And how could all this be on the same planet? So I'd say my reason for doing it was just because I'm like that honeybee. I really wanted to free myself and feel better and fulfill all these dreams I had for things I wanted to do. And in the course of that, it ended up helping other people. I guess that's the best answer I could give you.
Well, it's what you have done, and I guess this is how I think about it. It's like the owner's manual we've always wanted and needed to manage and transform a whole lot of things we have within and without us. So it's so practical too.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you had in your history some health issues or an injury that motivated you also, right?
I had relatively good health, but what happened to me was that I developed chronic fatigue in my early 20s, and that eventually turned into some other things. But I always had pretty good physical health, but it was more like on a level of dis-ease in my emotional body that was always there. I wouldn't say I was depressed. I wasn't really that anxious, but there was just like an angst. I guess that's the modern word we have that just kept driving me on. But I feel like there's some kind of like energy that I was sensing all through my life that was guiding me in some way. And I think that's true for all of us here. It's just a matter of how much we listen, so probably the biggest motivator to me was I just really sensed that there was other dimensions of existences when I was very young. And so at that time, I got into it by reading every piece of science fiction I could find, like when I was a teenager, because some of these people really expand your mind into other possibilities, like Kurt Vonnegut Jr., or Isaac Asimov, or Ray Bradbury. A lot of these people tried using drugs for a while and all that. And it takes you to a certain point, and then that's it. It doesn't really take you into the real treasure of what you're really looking for. It just gives you, glimpses at the gate. So a lot of different things. I moved into an ashram and lived in a celibate lifestyle when I was 19 years old for several years, just practicing meditation, went to India, like you said. So a lot of these things to try to find out where this sweet spot was of consciousness. And I could just say, kind of fast forward, that the solution that I am living now and seeing now, to whatever extent I am, is that it really comes down to knowing who you really are more than anything else. And Janice, you said earlier that meditation on I am, and I love that you started with that. Because we can talk about so much spiritual, like philosophies and psychological this and that, and all that is true on a certain level. All the different things that you go through on the soul level and on the path. But if you cut right through that, you already are the ultimate thing right now. And that's what I know. I think I always knew that, but I had to clear a whole lot of clutter away to start enjoying it, maybe is a good way to put it.
Okay, well, why don't we turn it over to you and tell us what you'd want us to hear tonight about your book and about you, whatever.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I like any of these gatherings to really be experiential more than intellectual. So a few ways to do that is to just stay connected with your body. These guidelines, if you kind of stay with this as much as you can, I can assure you we will have a really profound experience tonight that we will co-create, because I can see just what a remarkable group of light workers you are, everybody here in your own different, unique way. So if you just stay connected with your body, stay grounded as much as you can, and breathe consciously, and try to stay in your heart, those basic things, then you'll be participating and contributing to this. And it won't just be me giving you an interesting speech or meditation or whatever it is. Because what I'm all about is empowering other light workers. That's my life purpose. I think I knew that a long, long time ago, but I went through a lot of circuitous routes to get to the point now in my 70s that I'm doing it pretty much full time in a more direct way. I did it in many indirect ways, like creating medical devices and running seminars for acupuncturists and aesthetics, and I mean, so many different things. So this is really about, again, awakening to who you really are in a very practical way. And I think most of us have read spiritual books where you hear about somebody having some great enlightenment experience, like Autobiography of a Yogi. Yogananda talked about where his master Sri Yukteswar came up to him when he was sweeping the floor and hit him with a stick, and he went into this total bliss experience, and he could see the stars and universes swirling around him, and his life was changed. So as a result of reading a lot of those books, which I call spiritual comic books, because they give you these images of how it should be, you might think, boy, I'm falling so far short of that. I mean, I haven't had those kind of blown out, or Sue Morter talks about some great experiences she had like that. But what I realize is it doesn't matter whether you have that kind of experience or not, because you already are the ultimate thing right now, regardless of comparing yourself to anybody else's particular, phenomenal experience. And so what I'm really devoted to is helping other people to know that you are an avatar and that you bring through transmissions of divine energy that actually do change the world. And what I love about Janice and this group is that that's what you're devoted to. I mean, that's how we first connected, because we were in a group, it was Unify Earth meeting, and I noticed that she was talking about Earth planetary healing. And I went, oh my God, maybe she heard me talking about it, but we realized we're both thinking or leading people or encouraging others to know that we have the power to heal our Earth. And I'm actually going to play a new song tonight that I just wrote yesterday called You Have the Power to Heal Our Earth. So maybe a little rough around the edges, but I will share it with you later. I'll just tell you what the words are now, though, because that would sum up what this whole presentation's about. The first 4 lines of this song are, you have the power to heal our Earth by fearlessly engaging in your inner work. When you love yourself unconditionally, you're helping to free all humanity. Just take that in a moment. We think about healing the Earth. It's like going out and having mass demonstrations or political action, and all those things are really, really needed also. But the thing that's going to actually make us successful is when we do our inner work. Because one thing in my book, Awakening the Avatar Within, it talks about a lot, is that reality is holographic. And I just want to explain this a little bit because it's such a profound thing. And maybe most of us have all heard it, but just to go a little deeper with what that actually means practically. Physics has shown that the universe is a holographic system, which means that any point in the universe contains every other point in the universe. It's kind of like put that in your pipe and smoke it kind of thing. So that means that if you really want to help people in Ukraine who are suffering, if you really fully love yourself, you're actually doing one of the greatest services you could do to people who are suffering all the way across the world. Now, it's also really helpful, like to give money, give food, stand up for a cause you believe in. So, see, all these things are important. I feel like the job description I've taken on is to more focus on the consciousness part of it, to encourage us to know what the power is that we actually have. And so it all starts with your intention. It starts with this strong desire. I somehow want to heal myself and be part of the solution. I don't know how, but I somehow want to do this. That's where it all starts. And another real part of the solution is this, exactly what we're doing tonight, coming together as a group in consciousness in this I am presence. Because, many Christians talk about the second coming of the Christ. Well, the second coming of Christ is not going to be like the first coming of the Christ, like some particular person that everybody focuses on and, who saves us and leads us. It's about all of us coming together in a group awareness. That's the second coming of the Christ, as I understand it. And it's happening. It's happening by us being together right now. If you just show up and you just relax your heart and radiate love and love yourself, don't leave yourself out, because that's the big mistake that people have made in the previous martyrdom age, is you give yourself to everybody else, you serve everybody else, you heal everybody else, and you sort of have this uneasy, uncomfortable, judgmental feeling about yourself, ranging to self-hatred. That's kind of that's where we've come from, the age of the saints who died in martyrdom. Well, I have news for you folks, that's over. We may have in our emotional body vestiges of that, but this is a different time. We're not going to be persecuted for being light workers this time. We're not going to die for anybody else. This is about living fully. And so an avatar, which is what you are, what depends on just how awake you are to it, it literally comes from a Sanskrit word, avatar, that means descent. So it means the divine power and love and beauty of the universe creating a focal point as a human body and expressing some part of its vibrations and its superpowers. That's what an avatar is. So some human beings have stepped up and been amazing avatars, like Jesus and Martin Luther King and Gandhi, and there's all these people that we know about. I'd say the Beatles, and there's been avatars of great light that have moved society forward and and inspired people and helped heal people. And then there's been dark avatars that have created tremendous change on earth through creating suffering and evil, like Genghis Khan or Hitler or people like that. Now, they were avatars because they changed the course of human history, but they were the dark avatars. I think we need to have a world where we don't need any more of those dark avatars. And here in the United States, we're making some deep choices which way we want to go, about which kind of leaders we're going to have. And it can be very confusing too. So you are an avatar because there's a certain specific soul song, which is a certain frequency of divine emanations that you express better than anyone else. Isn't that cool? It's like scientists say every snowflake is a little bit different from every other one. So you have a certain way of expressing divinity that's a little different than anyone else. You're a specialist at that. And awakening, a big part of awakening is getting that, accepting that, and stop resisting it and fighting it and distracting yourself from it, or being afraid of it, or whatever the story is. So I want to also talk about the word transmission. Now, I'm not talking about the transmission in your car or the TV, ray transmissions, or the transmission of hepatitis or anything like that. I'm talking about spiritual transmission. So if you want to experience spiritual transmission, you can do it right now. Very simple way would be just to relax, sit up straight. Just come into your heart if you're not already there. As much as you can, let go of habitual thoughts about who you think you are. They're just kind of later for you. You can go in the background now. Just imagine that there's a pillar of light coming from this infinite source that we, from our body perspective, would seem to be infinitely high above you. And that it's streaming down through all these levels and dimensions. And it's coming through your crown and just coming into your body. And all you have to do is relax and accept it. This is you. I'm not telling you to take on any weird occult energy or anything. I'm just receive you. And it's always up to you. It's always up to your choice how much or if at all you want to experience this. And then just notice what it feels like in your body, or what it's, or maybe if you're more visual, like what you see or what colors you sense, or if you're more auditory, maybe you can even sense like a tone or a note. And you find your transmission by sharing it, by the way. That's why whenever I lead a gathering, I'm always encouraging people to like speak up or go to the chat or to share something, because you discover through giving, because we're creatures of giving. We're here to be donors to each other. So just simply notice in any way you can this vibration in your body right now. And then my recommendation is just try something like just put your hands out, or you don't even have to use your hands, but just a symbol, and just say, I now share my transmission with everyone else here as is appropriate. As is appropriate means, you're not trying to impose anything on anyone, just whatever is useful, whatever is in free will and beauty, I share that now. Don't even try. No trying allowed. Trying is very trying. Just allow. And it's all about love. So remember, this is about loving presence. There's nothing you can share of your transmission that's not about love. I used to imagine there was, but I realized that was quite an illusion. Breathe a little more deeply. Now, I don't know if anyone notices what just changed in this group. Maybe you could put that in the chat, because I just felt like a real expansion in this group field by whoever just shared your transmission. Teddy just said our planet's being healed may be one of the first unexplainable things to come out in the Great Awakening, I feel. So this is the power we have. This is your soul song, the note of it's like if there's a cosmic symphony that the human race is, if everybody knew their note and played it with full presence, it would create this amazing symphony, and our planet would be healed very quickly. We'd be amazed how quickly we'd work all these seemingly insolvable problems out if we just were willing to do that. So I want to say something about leadership, because that's something I put out to my group that we're talking about. Like, how do you lead as an avatar? Because I actually I believe you and I are meant to be leaders. And here's why I say that. Because if you think about more less technological societies or traditional societies, indigenous societies, who's the most revered person in the tribe? Who's usually the one who's held in the highest esteem? You might say the chief or the whoever it is. Well, actually, it's usually the shaman or the medicine woman or the high priest, or in the Catholic tradition, they call it the Pope. In other words, the person holding the highest spiritual level, who makes it their job to hold a high level and to stay in connection with the spirit world and to increase their higher sense perception, that's the one in many traditional societies was considered in the highest esteem. Even the chiefs would look to them, like if they had to go to war, if the crops were failing, or if somebody had some weird disease or whatever it is, they'd come and ask for help from that shaman. Traditional Chinese society was like that way, and Native Americans often. But what's happened is we've fallen in love with the reasoning mind and the male patriarchy so much in our world that there's been a systematic dishonoring of the shaman or the person of light or spiritual wisdom as being the highest. That's been relegated off to the side to like organized religion or yoga classes or whatever it is. It's all good, but it's like the people who are leading are no longer motivated by that. So the leaders we have in our world, the best of them are just mildly corrupt and they mean well. There's a few of them still left. The average ones are highly corrupt. And then the worst of them are total thugs and terrorists who happen to get control of countries. And again, we have some of them trying to get control of this country. So this is something that those are the leaders that take place when light workers aren't taking charge and being leaders. That's the consequence. So it's the vacuum that we create by us not being in our power that allows this mess to be there. So in one very real sense, we could say light workers like you and I avoiding being leaders is one reason we get all these crappy leaders actually leading our countries and societies. Because that's how I see it. I feel like we have a certain responsibility at this point. Now, being a leader doesn't mean you have to lead a whole lot of people. I mean, you don't have to do what Janice does. You don't have to, start an organization or a movement. It could just be in your own family or in your own retirement community or whatever it is, or the nursery school that you teach or whatever it is, that you show up with presence, with love, with your transmission. That's all it takes to be a leader. It doesn't have to be a big external thing. I remember that there was this movie from the 1960s. I'm old enough to remember that some of you may remember, called Easy Rider. It was this very famous movie with Jack Nicholson, Dennis Hopper, and Peter Fonda, where they were riding motorcycles around the United States. And at one point, they were camping somewhere out in the woods, the three of these guys, probably smoking pot and high as a coon or whatever. And Jack Nicholson character just starts saying, there's these worlds out there in the universe where there aren't any leaders because everybody's their own leader. And it really freaks out these other guys because it sounds so weird to them. But I think he was just speaking of how our world's supposed to be. That you have the sovereignty of knowing you're an avatar and you just creatively express that. And that gifts other people unimaginably. And the world gets better. So what is really the solution to I really think about this, and I know Janice thinks about this. A lot of us are pondering, what will it take for us to get through this critical period of human history so that we have children, grandchildren, actually have a decent planet to live on and so on? What will it take? I'd love to hear from some of you. I would say my opinion has to do with some of these things I'm talking about, is knowing your soul song, owning your transmission, and clearing a lot of the sludge and junk out of your energy body, because every one of us has grown up in this sort of very fallen state of the human race where we've taken on so much of other people's negative energies, ancestors, parents, religions, and being abused and karma. And I could go on and on. We know about all this kind of stuff. I call it residue, the residue of the past. That's a general way to sum it all up. And so part of, I feel like when I started at a very young age, knowing I had a really heavy load of residue, and I just started at a young age going for it, trying to clear it out. And that's why I went to India when I was a teenager, and I did so many odd things. And I'm sure you've done a lot. If we could tell stories around a campfire, we'd have amazing stories about this, no doubt. But it's just knowing who you are and sharing it and coming together in groups has power beyond what we can imagine. So that's kind of what I wanted to say. I do have some practices I could lead us through, but I wonder, Janice, is there anything else you want to say or any other questions from anybody else before we go into that?
Okay, let's open this to questions and comments. Just either raise your hand or just unmute yourself and start talking.
Yeah. Love to hear your voices.
Yes. Nobody has.
I see Liz wrote something, clearing our socialization, our trauma, especially intergenerational karma, connecting with our higher selves and learning to live from that place. And Mike wrote, getting out of the chronic state of complacency over the last few years. Good. Okay, well, if they don't have questions right now.
I have a quick one.
Yeah, please go for it.
How did you get out of it? I'm sure we all have inner demons. And how did you get out of your inner demons?
That's a great question. And actually, I'd say at this point, I'd say I'm somewhat still in the process, but I'd say the most demony of the demons have transmuted. There, still other ones keep coming up or whatever it is, but the balance has clearly shifted to a much, to much lighter experience. But like, for example, just last Saturday, my partner, Karina and I, she's on here with us. I just was feeling a little burdened, tired, a little drained. I just finished leading a 14-week master course and 2 retreats and, a big output, and all was beautiful stuff. I just felt like a little bit of a void after that. Like sometimes after, one of the teachings that's in my book is that we're always going through these cycles. And so, sometimes you're in the part of the cycle where you're building up something new and you're all excited and some new things being birthed, like the springtime. Then you're at the fulfillment where you're really busy with it. And then it sort of declines, and then it kind of all goes away and you're in this like kind of nothingness place. So we can call that the void. And one of my sayings is don't avoid the void, because it's a necessary part of, our life. So I was in that kind of void place and feeling low energy, and my partners agreed to do some healing with me for a day. So I just went into those shadows, like whatever those uncomfortable places in my belly and whatever I could identify, and just breathed into them and let myself feel. Did some yelling, and she poked with me in some tender spots, and we just did that for a few hours, and I felt a whole lot lighter since then. So I feel like there's an ongoing need to do spiritual hygiene and inner house cleaning. I don't know if it ever ends. So I think mainly what's worked for me is just patience and persistence, just to keep on going, just to keep on practicing, keep receiving healings, giving healings. And I think the best way to heal yourself is to give to others. It's just the law of how it works. And so the more you share your gifts with others, the lighter and more easy it is to dislodge those really stubborn, deep, dark issues that have been plaguing you or hard to release. So I think that's how I've been doing it, is by learning to be a giver and be less self-centered. It seems to be the most helpful. Interesting.
And when we talk about deep-seated traumas, which I know you have worked with a lot of your life, is there something we can do without having to go to an energy healer if there's not one nearby or can't really call or whatever? Something we could quickly do, or even maybe not so quickly, to bring that up and let it go?
Absolutely. I'd like to share a guided practice right now for that purpose.
Okay.
So one of the terms that we can use that's really valuable is spiritual alchemy. The people often think of alchemy as transmuting things like lead into gold, like taking something that's less valuable and turning it into something that's more valuable. And I believe that that's mainly like a symbol. Teddy said a very good point. Clearing is great, but you have to put good things back into the space for your greater good. That's very true. I agree with that. Whenever you clear toxic old energies or traumatic energies, it's very important that you actually intentionally choose what you want to replace that with. Because if you just leave a vacuum, that's not
you won't necessarily get what you really want. So something like invoking the violet flame, or bringing in golden light, bring in the Christ light, or what you can use all these different words, or the goddess emanation. Just choose something consciously to put in that place. So thank you for saying that, Teddy. That's a really good counsel there. Okay, so I believe the most valuable alchemy that creates spiritual gold is doing the opposite of what I used to do. What I used to do is try to get away from all those yucky feelings and try to raise my consciousness so I could feel good. Well, after enough years, I found out that that is a very incomplete way, and it doesn't really, just takes you around circles. So here's an amazing thing, is that whatever you've been running away from is actually the treasure chest of your spiritual gold. And I certainly have known what it's like to be running away from parts of myself. And just after realizing how futile that is, eventually I've gradually said, okay, I'm going to experience this. And so I offer quantum healing sessions and teach people and mentor others, healers and professionals and various types of physicians, how they can bring quantum healing into their work. And a lot of it is really connecting with yourself and connecting two parts of yourself. One is being willing to drop into your own pain and feel it fully, but then also connect with the quantum field, which is infinite, which is perfect, which is catalytic. And sort of like connecting those two experiences creates spiritual alchemy. I mean, there's lots of people that drop into their shadow side and feel it and emote it and go through catharsis and all that. And that's very useful to a certain extent, but it can also just take you around circles. You can do that year after year after year, and therapy after therapy, ayahuasca after ayahuasca, and, shaman after shaman, and you find you're kind of more or less in the same place. If anyone has noticed that, please put that in the chat, because it's a very common experience. If you really want to permanently elevate, it takes, in my experience, attuning yourself to the quantum field and then allowing that experience to mix and mingle with your inner pain, where all that spiritual treasure is locked up behind old traumas and resistance and fear and blockage and so on. So I'm going to give you a mini version of that now. And again, this is always totally voluntary. Just as much as you want to participate, you're welcome to. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can just sit here and soak up the energy. So I'm going to put on a little bit of music that will be helpful for this. So for those who choose to participate in this spiritual alchemy, put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, slightly behind your two front upper teeth. That's called the master hookup point. And that will ground and stabilize you. Just relax. Don't make this about trying and efforting or anything like that. Be aware of your breath, blessing your entire body, including especially your abdomen. And I'm going to ask you to do something which can sometimes feel risky, and that's to get in touch with your desires, your deepest desire, because just like the Aesop's fable of the fox and the grapes, after he couldn't reach the grapes enough times, he said, they were sour anyway, I didn't really want them. So many of us have done that. We had this deep desire, maybe in our youth, for something, to experience something. And then a lot of times people get older, they just resign themselves to the fact that, well, maybe that's not so attainable, or I'm just tired of trying so hard, or whatever it is. But just get in touch with your desire for freedom, for actually being the avatar that you are in expression, to allowing more vital energy to fill your body, to make you feel more awake and alive. You desire these things.
Now, just call all of your energy that may have gone out to so many people, places, and things all day back into your own body. Just say, I now call all of my energy back into my own body. Just say it, and it happens. Feel that energy coming in. Take a deep breath, and then let some of that energy sink down into Mother Earth. Just like our primitive, or not primitive, but our, let's say, more indigenous ancestors used to live much closer to the earth. So you can just intend to connect with your Earth Star chakra, which is underneath the surface of the earth. That's part of you. Just really fill your belly with breath. Expand the breath. It might be helpful to put one hand over your heart, or at least just intend, I am choosing loving presence. Now, just in your imagination, imagine you're sitting wherever you are, just like you are, but yet around you is a much bigger being. Like if you might have seen this artwork sometimes of the I am presence. Like there's a human being standing there, and then there's this huge divine being all around it. Well, you have that right now. You are that right now. So just imagine that you're also that divine being. It's much bigger than your physical body. This part of you prior to falling asleep into the amnesia of this world, where you forgot who you are, started believing all these other things. Connect with that part. Some people call it your future self, because as far as time goes, at some point, all rivers eventually lead to the sea, or to some place where they end. So, at some point, all these challenges and issues will be over, and you'll be living as an avatar in the future. So, if that's because we're holographic reality, if that is in the future, it also exists right here and now. So you just claim it. I claim my future self, my avatar self, now. This is all about the body. So just bring yourself back inside your body, aware of your body, the sensations in your body, the vibrations you can sense in your body. Relax even more. Let go of any striving, trying, efforting. Just notice that we are in this gorgeous field that a whole community of light workers are contributing to. Like I said earlier, the best way to heal yourself of your deepest, most stubborn, challenging, hard to heal issues, which I talk about quite a bit in my book, you'll get a lot more explanation of what those are, what they mean, and how you heal them, would be to give of yourself. So again, I invite you to simply intend, I am now radiating my divine transmission totally effortlessly, without any trying or thinking or efforting. I'm just allowing this transmission to flow through me to everyone else in this group exactly as is most beneficial to them. In love. I allow this quantum healing, even if my mind doesn't have the slightest clue what quantum healing is or how it works, doesn't really matter. I mean, it is useful to study it and learn it if you're a professional and you want to get trained. But even without that, your soul knows how to do it right now, or how to not do it, to allow it. So how about just intending? I invoke this master healer inside of me to flow through me and bless each other person here with the gift that will help them unwind their most challenging issue or symptom or pain or whatever it is. Tuning into compassion, benevolence, generosity. Now, spiritual alchemy, next step. In this field, ask yourself, first of all, I suggest you make a statement to yourself. I am worthy and deserving of being healed. In fact, there's no greater service I can do for humanity than to heal myself and love myself, because then I actually become useful to global healing. Do-gooders don't really do that much good unless they're actually taking care of their own inner self. And now ask yourself, what do it most needs healing within me? Like, what have I been carrying for a long, long time that has not been easy to heal? Could be a physical symptom that keeps bothering you, like back pain or migraines or fatigue or high blood pressure or sleep apnea. It could be so many different things like that. It could just be a sense of malaise or a tendency to get depressed or a tendency to get drained, a tendency to be fearful, keep getting triggered. We know all those things. Just ask, what is the thing in me that most needs to be healed so I can truly live as an avatar? Sure, you're all experts at what that is. It doesn't take a lot of thought. Now, here's the key part. Just say, where in my body is the access point to that condition, that conditioning, or that residue of the past? Because there's always a place in your body that's the focal point of those old burdens and issues. In Sanskrit, they call it samskara. Many people use the term conditioning. There's so many different names for it. Energetic gunk. But where is the focal point in my body? And wherever that is, put one of your hands over that point. Now, here's the thing most of us run away from for decades. Love that part. Love that part. Again, not by making an effort to love that part, but love knows how to love. Because that part has your greatest power, your greatest joy, your greatest love. The mission you came onto this planet to fulfill is locked up in that energetic gunk. So it deserves your love. It helps to keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth behind your front teeth, helps to keep breathing, helps to stay present, stay grounded. This is an act of power because what most of us do, I'm just observing my own self and all these thousands of clients I work with, is that when we feel this part of us, we go out of our body, we space out, we get distracted, we turn on the TV, we reach for our cell phone, all these other things, take a substance. But if you just stay with it and stay grounded to the earth, you're in a very transformational state. I welcome this part of me that I've rejected or judged or run away from into my heart right now. I'm willing to feel your feelings. I'm willing to be, to embody me. Now we also have friends in high places who help with these quantum healings. So if there's any spiritual guides of the highest light and purity who you work with, like the Christ, the Goddess, Divine Mother, the angels, whatever it is, I welcome you to invoke those helpers. And it's good to have good quality control when it comes to guides. There's been a lot of people who have talking to different guides that are more astral level beings that aren't really on that high level. So you have to always specify only those of the highest light. The Christ is a very, very powerful healing field. So is like the divine goddess, feminine Shakti energy of the universe, very powerful, that we can tune into. And the power of the healing power of the Mother Earth. And just allow that beautiful healing energy to do spiritual alchemy with, that part that you're working with. So this could be a very long process, but I'm just going to keep this very brief today, just to introduce this. There's many, many different aspects of quantum healing. Working with chakras, working with specific issues, transforming, ancestral relationships, and bringing out your higher potential. This is the deepest core of it, is simply presence. And just know this is a wonderful time if you just simply let go of what you don't need anymore. Just send it back to source, and then fill the void that leaves with your divine light, with love. Just totally accept whatever you're experiencing. If it's beautiful and blissful, great. If you're struggling or you're feeling weird things, just accept it for value. Just stay connected with yourself. That's all it is. Nobody promised any of us a rose garden being in this human body. It can be incredibly beautiful when you're being yourself and sharing that. In fact, it doesn't really matter, because if you're having a beautiful, peaceful, blissful experience, you're serving by being that, sharing that. If you're feeling wobbly and going through something, you're serving by doing your inner work. So either way, it's all good. So I'm going to close this practice so that we can have a little more time for some music and sharing before this is over. But I lead events like this regularly. We do them every other Thursday, called a Lightworker Gathering. And I'll tell how you can make sure you get access to those in a little later. It's mainly through the website lightworkerministry.com. Susan just said the I am presence of Christ consciousness bringing peace on earth to all mankind. And Desiree wrote, the entire room just filled with the scent of roses, which is Mother Mary's presence when I feel her. I don't always smell roses, but I am smelling them now. So I'm going to share a couple of songs with you, and then we'll finish with any questions and answers you have. So this is a song that just came through over the last 2 days, so it's definitely unpolished, but I practiced it before I got it. It's called, the first words are, we have, so the first words are, you have the power to heal our earth by fearlessly engaging in your inner work. When you love yourself unconditionally, you're helping to free all humanity. You have the power to heal our earth by fearlessly engaging in your inner work. When you love yourself unconditionally, you're helping to free all humanity. You have the power to heal our earth by fearlessly engaging in your inner work. When you love yourself unconditionally, you're helping to free all humanity. When you face your shadow with love and care, you lighten up the weight of people everywhere. In the holographic love of the quantum field, embracing our unity, we are healed. This world keeps spinning around. With every step forward, there's another step down. Step into light of your spirit today. Behind every thought, you will find your way. Behind all your thoughts, you will find your way. Behind all your thoughts, you will live in grace. Ooh. You have the power to heal our earth by fearlessly engaging in your inner work. When you love yourself unconditionally, you're helping to free all humanity. You're helping to free all humanity. Could you hear the voice on the guitar with that one?
Yes, very good. Thank
Oh, there.
you. Thank you.
I'm going to do one more. This is called Mother Earth and Father Sky. Mother Earth and Father Sky, you bring me to a love so high. Meet me in my sacred heart, 'cause life is now a brand new start. When love is all, can't refuse the call. That's when I fall into a tiny space of creative grace. Don't know how I strayed so far from love, but now I feel the power of one shining from all I see. Mother Earth and Father Sky, you bring me to a love so high. Meet me in my sacred heart, 'cause life is now a brand new start.
Thank you, Darren. Wow. What a delight you've been tonight. Does anybody have any comments or questions or anything to say to Darren? Go ahead, Mike.
So first of all, I'm absolutely enthralled with your book. And while I've heard so many, concepts in other books, the way that you've put it together, because as Janice said, is kind of a owner's manual and guide is just beautifully done. And really enjoying it. My comment is really about, I have had this real aversion to the I want to say the apathy that the younger generation has had, kind of growing up. I was a kid in the 60s, but
Yeah.
when there was stuff going wrong, people got up and made their voices heard, and I'm not suggesting that we do that, but I have this vision. It just came to me as we were doing this, that because, if we're in these little clusters and we're all developing, our inner light and our inner avatar, that's all really wonderful. But I just have this image of, on a cloudy day, 100,000 of us gathered on the mall in front of the White House and just started radiating together in practice and having the clouds part and just this sun come out, and just people just going in awe, going, oh my God, what is going on here? A real demonstration to the world that there is this power that is far overshadowing the old people, not the age discriminant, but the 80s, the people that are fighting in the structures nearby, the inner fighting structures nearby. There's this much greater positive power that is out and free, and is, there's nothing that they can do to stop it.
Well, Mike, that is so amazing, because I could actually see that vision as you were talking, and I could feel it inside myself. And please, I'll
obviously you just said your job description, which is some way to contribute to that. And I'd like to be part of it, because that's why I founded the Lightworker Ministry, was to bring people together so we would, in strength, help change the planet without knowing how. But what you're saying is an awesome way to do that. And so thank you. In fact, I'd like it if you would reach out to me with your contact information and could collaborate in some way.
Sure. Yeah, thank you.
That's great. I just got to say one thing. I only have 9 more minutes because I'm actually leading or co-leading another meeting at the half hour. I'm sorry. I wish I could stay longer. So, but whoever can speak before then, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, thanks for speaking, Mike. I had my hand up earlier, and it was actually along the very same vein, is the definite need for unity, for all of us unifying our light, bringing our lights together as one. This is the only way we will eradicate the darkness. And standing in our own little areas is great, what we're doing with ourselves, but we really need to come together, because when we bring that power together as one, that is what's going to transform this world. And my comment about the Christ consciousness, Christ has always been, Jesus has always been with me since I was 2. I had a near-death experience, met him on the other side, and he sent me back. And he has always been with me my entire life. So all the journey that I have been on has been on that vein, and not in vain, but on that vein of the blood of that life that is here to bring the word. I mean, each one of us has something to share with the world. We each have a place, we each have a role, and we're all here for that particular reason. And thank you for what you're doing to bring everyone together here. And perhaps there are ways in which we can shine our light, because in the giving we receive. So it's great to learn how to get the light for ourselves, but it's more important to share with others, so that we can all come together in a way, in the reality of what we're really supposed to be, as heaven on earth.
That's amazing. It's interesting. That's a real mystery that you and the other persons spoke about, is outer action and inner action. And what is the relationship, and how are they together going to create the results we really need? Because one of the things I've sensed is that there's so many great people who are doing so much good work environmentally, socially, and for justice, and for children, and for, so all these things, and having, making a giant difference. And yet sometimes it seems like we're taking one step forward and then one step backwards in terms of the collective of our planet. So I've really pondered this. What would it take for us actually to really make it, and actually not just be one step forward, one step backward? And I feel both are needed. We need this. We need the inspired actions of large numbers of people coming together, but not lose sight that we're holographic beings. And when we totally love ourselves and face our own shadow, we're doing an equally valuable thing, which if we're leaving that out, it just ain't going to work. That's my feeling. And yet this is a mystery that I open to exploring with you, because I don't have the answers. We're all learning this one step at a time. But we certainly need those physical coming together of large numbers of people. And one thing that we do is every Friday at 12 noon for 15 minutes, we have a gathering for 15 minutes, which you can either just do on your own without even logging into anything, or you can actually log into social medias, and I do a live stream at that time. So it starts at 12 noon Pacific time every Friday, and just goes to 12:15. That would be 3 p.m. Eastern time, and whatever other time zone. And all this is bring your love and presence. And before I run out of time, I want to say that if anybody would like to connect with me or be part of this movement that I'm working with, you can go to this website, lightworkerministry.com, that I put in the website in the chat. And if you join that website, you can either do it, there's a level where you get on the list, basically, and you get notified of these kind of events, because there's a lot of things going on that I and other associates are doing that are regular. And then there's a Guardian membership, which is just $20 a month, where I'm actually doing spiritual leadership training every month. And it's, very low cost entry to bringing people together to actually talk about these things that Susan and other people are talking about. Like, how do we do this? How do we develop our spiritual leadership and bring it out and create, this movement, this change? So I welcome anyone to connect with me through those ways if you'd like. We've had time for maybe one more comment before I've got to run to my other meeting, or question or statement.
Well, I just want to thank you, Darren. And Darren is going to be part of talking to you and sending you messages about the World Unity Week. And Darren will be in there, and we will have Antonia and I will have a room, and he's a volunteer to contribute to that. I'll be informing all of you about this. He's an incredible giver. He's inspiring me to start giving more. And thank you so much, Darren. Thank you.
Well, thank you for organizing this. And Janice, you're doing just the kind of thing that's needed, bringing people together, raising consciousness, just being steadily doing this giving you're doing all the time. So I'm really grateful for what you're doing and that we connected, and that thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. And thank you, everybody. Thank you, and all the rest of you for coming, for joining us here.
Yes. God, just be blessed and share your blessings as much as you can, because that's what it's about. Okay, good night, everybody.
Good night. Love you.
Much love to everybody.